Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Think Factory podcast. And we're live on the floor at Printing United Expo in Atlanta, here for the Printing United Expo 2023. And I'm really excited to talk to Paul Furse from Scodix, and he's the Director of Channel Sales for the Americas. Welcome, Paul.
Hi, thanks for having me, Chris.
So folks that have checked out the podcast in the past may have seen one of Paul's colleagues, April Lytle, who talked a lot about some really exciting things at Scodix, in particular the embellishment business, which I have to tell you, Paul, I find it really, really interesting because the whole, the psychology of packaging and print, when you can touch something and feel something special about the embellishment that Scodix can provide, to me it really lends a lot to the value of the product, or the perceived value of the product that's in that package.
Absolutely, and it's not just the perceived value, but it's the perceived ownership as well. So from a retail standpoint, when you're walking down the aisle and you lift that product up off the shelf, you interact with it, you look at it, but when there's a texture to it and you have that other sensory experience of touch, your perceived ownership of that product and your desire to own it and put it in your cart and buy it becomes that much more greater. And that's really a big driver for us on the packaging side of things, and as well as any real marketing communication in that regard.
Right. Even embellishment's important in the direct mail business as well.
Absolutely. Same thing. When you're flipping through all that mail coming in your mailbox, all of a sudden you not only see the foil, but then you feel and have that experience. You're just that much more inclined to open it, show it to your significant other. Hey, this is really cool. Look at that. It's actually pretty funny where we'll have calendars that we may have done as a promotion that are years old that are still hanging up in people's offices because they're just so cool to touch and feel.
That's amazing, especially when you talk about foiling. Yet the idea of putting gold and silver, bronze, whatever metal it is, or the perception that there's a metal there, I think enhances the value even a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely. We are conditioned and trained from very early on that any of the noble metals, as you said, gold, silver, bronze, there is a perceived value and luxury experience that comes with that. And when you add that to any kind of communication, automatically you think this is a higher quality, this is a higher value, and typically you're more apt to engage with it. You just are. Shiny things attract humans.
For sure.
Basic psychology.
But what I think people miss sometimes, though, is that because of what Scodix does, you're able to make that process of embellishment a lot more cost-effective for the printer.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's a very big part of what we do and why we do it. And from a sustainability standpoint as well. So one of our big pushes right now is sustainable economic. From a sustainability side, when you look at conventional foiling, it really hasn't changed that much for the past 100 years. You have a metal die with the right amount of heat and pressure, slams into a foil, into a substrate, and then it releases. Well, to get that metal die, you have to mine it, which scars the earth. There's fossil fuels involved in that, carbon emissions, harsh chemicals to etch those dyes. There's a number of steps and processes and time that goes into creating that, whereas by digitizing that process, we've eliminated all of those steps. The speed to market is much faster, and then from a sustainability standpoint, we just don't have that level of waste or emission. In fact, we just completed a very large life cycle assessment, an independent study, that showed how just we are significantly more sustainable for the future.
That's amazing, because that's on the tip of everybody's tongue, whether you're talking about traditional print or packaging or the other segments that are here at the show. Sustainability seems to be really in the top 3 or 4 issues that are on people's minds.
Oh, absolutely. And then from the economic side of it, those same metal dyes I was talking about, these are precious metals. These are copper sometimes. These are magnesium, steel. There's various types of dyes, obviously, for different applications, but we've eliminated that. So instead of having a recycling program as part of your foil stamping business, we now have a digital process where we can create those pieces and prototype those pieces same day, within minutes, as opposed to waiting days to create those dyes. Corrections can be made on the fly, which makes things that much more economic for printers.
That's amazing too, because when you talk about speed to market, every year at these shows, you hear people talking about short runs and the ability to respond to these sometimes crazy customer demands where they want everything yesterday, especially since COVID-19. But your applications and your equipment really allows people to actually respond well to customers.
Oh, absolutely. And that speed to market is key, whereas it may take an hour, in some cases, sometimes 8 hours to do a setup on a single sheet for a die. That's an entire shift where we can produce our first sheet out in a matter of minutes, and then we're in full production and complete that job. Multiple layered foil passes as well as spot and raised UV. So what we've really done is we've taken a conventional foil stamper and a conventional screen press and combined that into a single footprint. It's conventional materials, but in a digitized process.
You know, that's a great example of the technology that you see in the print business. One of the other things that's on the top of people's minds is attracting the next generation into print, whether it's on the manufacturing side or on the printing side. But I think it's the technology and the type of things that Scodix is doing that really is an attractive feature to the young people wanting to get into the business.
Absolutely. Labor is definitely a challenge. That's no secret. No matter where you go, labor is a challenge. And most people that are doing foil, well, at least most people that I run across, they got into foil one of two ways, where they've either done it forever or they bought somebody that's been doing it forever. And the labor that does that kind of work is retiring. And the younger generation, they don't have the desire to learn that trade. Foil is kind of a black art. It's not something that's taught. But by us digitizing it, the same employee that runs your digital press can run a Scodix, and typically both at the same time. So from a labor standpoint, it becomes that much more economical because we don't need journeyed labor, digital operators, and it's a big win for any kind of print operation because even if you don't do foil or spot UV today, now you can. Now you have an avenue into that and into that high margin work.
Well, the advantage is certainly there to distinguish yourself if you're a printer trying to get into other fields, whether it's packaging or print.
Exactly, no matter what. And that foil work has typically been reserved for luxury brands because of that high cost, because of that high overhead of the dies and the processes. You needed to do runs of millions to make it cost effective because of the high overhead. Because this is now a digitized process, you can do a book of one, for example, and make it very cost effective. You can do 100 wedding invitations and same day have them out the door. It's very advantageous for printers of all scopes and sizes. Even we've seen packaging runs of 750,000 sheets even, where the demand by the brand was specifically for some kind of tactile effect on it that only Scodix can produce.
Amazing. Just the ability to be that responsive to a customer demand is so key in this market.
Absolutely. As time goes on, we've seen more and more commercial printers, packaging houses, they want to be that one-stop shop. They don't want to have to outsource just for production times and labor effectiveness. And by all means, Scodix enables that part of the finishing process to happen that much more quickly.
There's some exhibitors here that are actually you'd say the insourcers, the ones that want to be the source for the outsourcing help that printers need. And I think Scodix enables a lot of printers to become or to take on that role for everybody else who won't do it or can't do it.
Oh, absolutely. Again, that just goes back. We enable all of that through that ease of use, that the automation of it, and really everything is file driven, everything's design driven. So not having those conventional screens or dies to produce that kind of work enables that capability that much more for any operation of any size.
Amazing. Well, in addition to the coolness about your technology, I know you've got an announcement that you've made here at the show, and I'd love for you to share it with our listeners.
Yeah, so we have partnered with Ricoh. We are now they are now an official distribution channel of ours. We're very excited by this because when you look at Ricoh, they've been one of the pioneers in embellishment in the print industry. They came out with fifth station on their printing, on their digital presses many years ago. They've done an excellent job moving that kind of technology forward, building the market and the demand around that. And as they start to evolve and eventually get into that B2 space, it's a natural fit to partner with together so we can create a portfolio that offers printers of any size the ability to get into embellishment and start offering that kind of high margin work to their clients.
Well, especially with the install base that Ricoh has, that's an exciting opportunity for you to basically have an opportunity at all those shops.
Oh, yeah, that's a big win for us as well. They have hundreds of salespeople that are out on the streets, and we have a clear vision at Scodix to be the world leader in digital embellishment. And as we expand and work harder and faster towards that goal, having that kind of reach and breadth in the United States just makes us that much more effective and that much more stronger. So we're very excited by what the future holds.
So other than the Ricoh opportunity, which I think should be huge for Scodix, what are some other opportunities you see for 2024, either for Scodix itself or some of your customers, based on what you see here at the show?
Yeah, definitely packaging and the digitization of packaging and inkjet is a big one. And as really the industry moves more towards that digital packaging shop, as inkjet technology becomes more prevalent, the opportunity for us to integrate with that and partner with that to have that digital packaging experience in any operation is by far one of the biggest opportunities that are there.
Well, with packaging being such a growth segment for a lot of traditional commercial printers, that really empowers them to jump into the packaging space a little faster too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Not just the aspect of being able to digitally print the packaging, but being able to digitally embellish the packaging as well. When you partner the two together, having the ability to create that high-end packaging, do that luxury brand level type of work, that's a big win for anyone that's trying to get into that market.
Some of there's one equipment manufacturer in particular that talks about the democratization of print, where equipment like Scodix makes democratizes print to the extent that even the smaller shop has got the ability to do a wide range of projects. It sounds like you're sort of following in that path.
Yeah, absolutely. As I was kind of saying before, that kind of work has really been reserved for the large brands. I mean, we could rattle off a number of cosmetic brands, high-end perfumes, things of that nature. Pick any one that comes to mind. There's a foil embellished package, and they've really held that market for a long time. What this enables for anyone, whether you're making maybe soap in your garage or whatever it is, or maybe chocolate bars, all of a sudden you can compete on that national level simply because your packaging has that foil on it, and it has become that much more affordable to do. You don't need to do runs of a million. You can do runs of one. You can do runs of 1,000, and get your product and your name out there.
That's terrific. Well, again, I love the fact that we're empowering even small businesses as well to take on projects they otherwise wouldn't even touch because of what you guys provide. So that's excellent, for sure. And we always end the podcast with just a question about, what keeps you up at night when it comes to this business?
Yeah, really it's the adoption, I would say, is probably the first thing that comes to mind without thinking about it real hard. It's the adoption. Like any new technology, it just takes time for people to understand and adopt that. When you look at the evolution of print, we went from offset to CTP, and then a long evolution of digital presses that then came after it. And now we're at the early adopter phase of inkjet, where that's becoming more prevalent. Well, in our world, we went straight from 100-year-old hot foil stamping directly to inkjet. So there's a huge gap there that most people aren't aware of, and it's working with the brands and the agencies to allow them to understand what this technology is, what the capabilities are, and then as they become more aware, the demand comes down to the printers, and the adoption ratio then goes up. But we've been around since 2007, and over the past 15, 16 years, every year, there's just more and more demand. We started with just a regular spot UV press, and the demand for foil came, and the product has really evolved to where it is today, to where we are absolutely competing with the quality of dye work and the speed to market, where we can rival pretty much anybody.
Well, with each of the printers that come to visit a show like this looking for the next opportunity, you guys are really well poised to succeed, and hopefully the Think Factory podcast will get you in front of a new couple of customers for sure.
Yeah, it'd be great. I really appreciate the time.
This is terrific. Well, Paul, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Again, this is Paul Furse from Scodix, the Channel Sales Executive for the Americas. And this is Chris Santamassimo, host of the Think Factory podcast, live at the Printing United Expo. See you next time.